Hi, I'm Gavin Crawford. Here's one of the stories we're following tonight. Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles announcing that they're getting married this April. So far, reaction's been mixed, although the announcement is seen as a major victory for proponents of same-sex marriage. This and other stories coming right up on 22.
Good evening. The CBC lost its bid to broadcast the Vancouver Olympic Games this week. However, CBC executives aren't worried as they've already found an equally high-profile event to replace it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
A spokesperson said the Olympics are overrated, or at least they will be when CTV covers them.
Teenage smoking is at an all-time high in Cuba. So the Cuban government has launched a new program to discourage teens from smoking by having them repeatedly view video of this woman. Is it weird that that just turned me on? Or?
Big news in the Middle East this week. Israel and Palestine announced a new planned ceasefire. Reaction throughout the region was quick and enthusiastic. Sadly, the celebration was stopped with the news that the Israeli-Palestinian Goodyear blimp had inexplicably crashed.
Paul Martin gave the military a much-needed boost this week. The Liberal government announced that they would replace the current faulty and aging fleet of submarines with the new and state-of-the-art HMCS Labrador.
Saudi voters went to the polls this week as the monarchy held its first municipal election in 40 years. Women were initially barred from voting, but at the last minute, the government relented and issued them a special separate ballot.
The ailing Pope is feeling much better and was released from hospital yesterday. A papal spokesperson said upon leaving the hospital, the pontiff saw his shadow, which means only 6 more weeks of guilt.
A 27-year-old teacher has been charged with having sex with her 13-year-old student. The sex had a negative effect on the teenage boy, who suffered a broken wrist from all the high fives from classmates.
In Australia, a fire station confessed it was unable to respond to a fire this week because one of its firefighters had taken the fire truck out to pick up a pizza. The incident has prompted the fire department to implement a new 30 minutes or it's burnt to the ground policy.
The Gomery inquiry into the federal sponsorship scandal had some high-profile witnesses this week, and our own Mark Critch was there.
Mr. Critchard, how you doing? Welcome back. We missed you. Politics has been so boring without you.
Really?
We really missed you.
Oh, it's too bad.
I'm so glad this inquiry is happening. Of course, I think you're 100% innocent of all charges, but the word's not really getting out. Do you think maybe you should hire an ad agency, help raise your profile?
I would certainly not hire you.
Oh, you're so mean. Could I?
No, you're a good guy, you know.
I'm a big fan of yours.
Yeah,
can I have an autograph?
You know,
Please, come on. It's red liberal pen.
No,
Please,
no,
come on.
On what?
On my golf ball. Can you sign my golf ball? I didn't get one last time. Come on. Is it? Oh. Now I gotta sell my head on eBay.
Coming up on 22 Minutes, a special look at a man whose followers continue to worship him in what appear to be his last days.
It's so sad. He's really not looking well.
Well, last Sunday when he addressed the crowd, he looked so old and frail.
Mumbling into the microphone, you know, you barely understand the guy.
Oh, he just seemed really lame and tired.
That's Canadians reacting to Paul McCartney during the Super Bowl halftime show. Coming up on 22 Minutes.
Votes in the Iraqi election continued to be tallied. To find out more, we're joined now by Iraqi reporter Mahmoud Aid, who's covering the election. Mr. Aid, how are things going?
Oh, they're going incredible. You know, it's been less than 300 hours since Iraqis went to the polls, and already results are pouring in.
And that's good.
Oh, yeah, but crazy. Well, you know, what election coverage is like. 1 minute, one party is leading, and then a week and a half later it changes slightly, so it keeps you on your toes.
It must be a challenge to report.
Well, it has led to some embarrassing moments. For example, in its eagerness to declare a winner, our rival network announced a victory for the United Iraqi Alliance a mere 8 days into the election, only to retract it 4 days later. So, you know, it's back and forth all the time.
The process sounds slow.
Well, there's been some confusion interpreting the ballots, okay? Some scrutineers counting the X's next to the names, which indicates a vote, as well as the X's over the names, which indicate a disappearance. There's also been a lot of vote spoiling.
How do you mean?
Well, you know, they don't mark anything, or they check off too many names, or they blow up the ballot box with some kind of grenade. You know, standard election hijinks.
Do you know who's responsible?
Okay, we're not here to point purple fingers at anybody, okay? Our job is simply to provide viewers with continuous up-to-the-month election coverage.
Well, good luck in the home stretch.
Thank you, but you know what they say. It's not over till the fat lady is kidnapped by insurgents.
Thanks for this.
Good night.
This portion of 22 Minutes brought to you by Rice Sharoni, the Middle Eastern treat. Rice Sharoni. Rice that's as good as Sharon.
How did it go at the bank?
Well, you know our big stop working at 60 plan.
Yes.
You and I have some tough decisions to make.
Decisions?
Will it be Provence or Tuscany?
So we have to make the decisions in Provence or Tuscany
No, I'm saying we can go to Provence or Tuscany.
to make the tough decisions.
No, the tough decisions have already been made.
So you already went to Provence and Tuscany?
No.
Oh, right, because you're waiting to go with the banker.
No, I'm saying we can go to Provence or Tuscany.
But what if the banker can't go at the same time?
No, I'm saying we've planned for the future, and now the only choice is Tuscany or Provence.
So now we're running away from tough decisions. Does the banker know this?
No, the decisions have been made, and according to the banker, that's why we can go to Provence or Tuscany.
Oh, I get it. You're saying that the people in Provence and Tuscany have made tough decisions with their bankers like the ones we have to make.
No, they don't have to make any decisions because they live there, and now we could too.
If the banker lets us make the tough decisions.
I'm leaving you.
If you're planning your retirement, make sure it's with someone who understands. Well, anything. A message from the Association of Canadian Bankers.
It was Fashion Week in New York City, and 22 Minutes Duchess of Style, Uwe Maya, was there.
Hello, I'm Uwe Meyer here in the ganze Apple, New York City for Fashion Week. And who better to cover all these events than me, the king of the catwalk. I love this city, even the police are fashionable. Look, leather and fur.
This collection is revolutionary and not evolutionary. We're breaking up the suit, washing the clothes. We're very irreverent.
As you can see, it is very irreverent, or at least very, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. You know, maybe you just like slept in your clothes after picking up some chick and then you had to rush to a fashion show. It's crazy and exciting, you know? When you are like on the catwalk, do you try to like infuse a little of your own personality into the thing, or is it better to just kind of be like blank?
No, I actually think about my paycheck and I like to smile.
So now, do you think that there's like a place for humor in fashion, like there might be a place for humor in Germany one day?
There's always bits of humor scattered throughout the collection. I mean, our logo is a big cock on a crown.
You know, I've always thought there was nothing really any more humorous than a big cock, except for maybe a tiny little cock. So if you were going to become a supermodel, what would be your power? Do you like this jacket?
I love it. It's beautiful.
It used to be some bunnies. They were the ones that I had, and they were just crapping all over, and finally I was like, I'm making it to a jacket, you know, because I can't stand it. You know, it's amazing the skill of some of these models, you know. It's like they've been walking for their entire lives or something. They're that good. From New York Fashion Week, I'm Uwe Meier saying if you can't look beautiful, just jump off a bridge. No, don't you do.
Conservative leader Stephen Harper made the bizarre claim last week that gay marriage threatens Canada's reputation for tolerance of minorities. Asked to explain, Harper said he arrived at the conclusion using a complex equation wherein ignorance is multiplied by fear and then you round off to the nearest assumption.
A British woman broke the solo around-the-world sailing record in 71 days. She sailed for nearly 44,000 kilometers and would have finished earlier if she didn't have to spend a week towing 2 Canadian submarines back to harbor.
A 14-year-old Calgary math whiz has solved a 500-year-old geometry puzzle. The geometry problem involved a mechanism for folding polyhedrons without overlapping them. The teen says that after graduation, he hopes to get a job as a polyhedron folder.
Frontiers in Science with Peter Morris.
With the recent tsunami, scientists are looking at improving early warning systems for places like our own BC coast. And here to talk about it is our science correspondent, Bob McDougall. Bob, how do these systems work?
Well, the idea is to have a series of deep-sea buoys that measure the height of the waves, and then they send signals back to land.
Are boys better swimmers than girls?
No, buoys, B-U-O-Y-S. They float on the surface.
Girls float as well, but perhaps not as fast as boys. Does science confirm this?
Well, that's kind of irrelevant to what we're talking about here. I brought a drawing to show you.
Okay. What we have here is a cowboy hat being struck by lightning. Thanks for the relevance, Bob.
No, this is the buoy, and this is the signal being sent back to land.
Well, where have all the fish gone, Bob? Or do today's fish prefer aquariums?
No, the fish are there. I just didn't draw them in.
I see, so not so much of an effort on your part.
That's not what this is about.
Well, I didn't study ocean drawingology in school, Bob, but I've always heard that the ocean was just full of fish.
Yeah, I didn't draw the fish and the coral and the whales and the squid because it's not important to the story.
Well, there you have it. Life in the ocean is disappearing and science just doesn't care. Bob, I'm sure you get this question all the time, but how in the world in Finding Nemo did they teach all those fish to talk?
That was done on a computer.
Well, can computers teach mammals to talk? Say, for example, a terrier. I own a little terrier named Buster, and I'm always wondering, what are you thinking, Buster?
No. Look, the other thing I wanted to say about the tsunami warning system is that once the data is received, the message still has to be communicated to the people on land.
What message?
That a tsunami's coming.
Oh, my God. Well, how much time do we have?
No, not right now.
Oh, right, because the earthquake just happened. So, folks, you still have a few minutes.
There's no tsunami. There is no tsunami.
Well, careful, Bob. You keep having false alarms like that when people aren't going to believe you. I mean, boys out swimming girls, talking fish, electric cowboy hats. I don't know what's crazier, Bob, you or the things you talk about. Good night.
Winter is big in New Brunswick, different than winter elsewhere. There's snow, there'll be freezing rain, and wind. Then wind chill. Winter is big. If you've ever been to Brunswick, you'll love New Brunswick. It has everything Brunswick has and more. It's newer. It's New Brunswick, where winter is big. Please come to New Brunswick and experience one of our biggest resources, winter.
Offer lasts till spring.
A new Compass poll says hockey fans want fewer teams playing in the NHL. The league agrees and hopes to drop the number to 0 between now and the beginning of next season.
After apparent clashes with Laura Bush, the White House chef will be replaced. U.S. forces have already been deployed to the kitchen, where an interim chef has been set up until free elections can be held by the sous chefs.
Prince Charles announced Thursday that he will marry his longtime companion, Camilla Parker Bowles. The marriage is a sensitive issue because she is divorced, but her former husband is still alive. Insiders expect the couple to tie the knot as soon as arrangements can be made for Camilla's husband to die in a high-speed car chase.
There are some changes ahead for the climate on good old Earth, and to tell us more is Dr. Susan Enright, who has written a study. Doctor, you say things are warming up?
That's right, Frank. The entire globe is warming up as much as 1 degree Celsius this century.
Now, Celsius, isn't that the communist unit of measurement?
It's metric, Frank, a more sensible system.
If you say so, comrade. So what is causing this warming, Dr. Enright?
The warming of the globe, or as it will soon be known, earthly heating, is caused by our automobiles putting too much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere.
I guess that's just another benefit of our wonderful car-based society. I don't care how short a distance it is, I love to drive.
Frank...
I love barreling down the highway with my 2-year-old daughter bouncing along beside me in the front seat, seeing the whole world go by.
Now, hold on, Frank.
However, my Cadillac seems too small. I wonder if in the future we will have really big cars, kind of like trucks that are vehicles for both utility and sports. VUSs.
No, Frank, never. Earthly heating will cause many hurricanes and melt the polar ice caps. Automobiles will be obsolete as the environmental danger would be too great.
In the remote province of Alberta, there's hope that the oil industry will one day provide billions of dollars in revenue.
Not likely. As oil is finished, Alberta will remain a Canadian backwater and will depend on the have provinces in Atlantic Canada for its economic help.
Now, have any men scientists gone over your study, Dr. Enright, or is this just the far-fetched, fanciful notion of a harebrained female?
It's my study, but I'm pretty...
If you were pretty, you wouldn't have had to go into science. You'd have found a husband.
Oh, Frank.
We have to go now, so my suggestion to you, Dr. Enright, is that you put this study on a shelf. Forget about it. Maybe go shopping for a new hat.
Good idea, Frank.
Good night.
Homeland Security Records presents the greatest American album of all time, Harland Colt, Patriot.
I like a supersized Coke in the American dream, delivered to a country with a fascist regime, a democracy patty and a fruit on bun. If you don't take our order, get ready to run for cover.
Harland Colt tells it like it is.
No, I don't like queers, and I'm proud I'm white. What the hell's so wrong about being right?
Rush Limbaugh calls Patriot the kind of record that makes terrorists run for cover. Harland Colt is a national treasure, raves the CIA. We should make a watch list of anyone who doesn't buy this album. Featuring the hit single, You're My 9/11.
You crashed into my heart, and you sent me to heaven. Baby, you're not just 810. You're my 9/11.
Harland Colt, Patriot. If you don't love this album, then you must hate America.
Back the show Little House on the Prairie in a short-form special. Fans of the old series, however, are concerned that the traditional feel of the show may have been abandoned in favor of appealing to a modern audience, considering it has been renamed Pimp My House on the CSI Factor, Queer Victims Unit.
Well, that's the way we saw the world this week, and next week look for a special episode showcasing the best of Mark Critch and Kathy Jones from this season. But before we go, I'd just like to say to the Pope, stay well, because if something ever happened to you, holy smoke! Good night. Good night. Good night.
I'm Lionel Van Doorn, and with me is Manfred Harrison. You are listening to Vivaldi's Violin Concerto in F minor.
A fitting preamble to our Valentine's special.
And in keeping with our amorous theme, the research staff here at CBC Radio has furnished us with some humorous Valentine's greetings. Here's one that says, let's get Bach to romance.
A bit risque. Here's another. You turn my heart to cello.
Oh, bravo. Let's go to the phone lines now and ask callers to tell us about their favorite romantic opera piece and why so.
A caller. Welcome, caller. You're on the air.
It's Steve from the control room. No one's calling. Just move it along, please.
Wonderful. And do you have a request?
How about a selection from Puccini's La Bohème?
Just play anything.
Thank you, caller, and we'll be sending you a taped copy of today's show.
Here's one last Valentine's greeting that says, you baroque my heart.
That's a Valentine's Day special, only on CBC Radio 2.